I think it should be like 2 months ago, thereabouts. So yeah. Thank you, Jude. How you doing today?
Hey, I'm good. What's the 30 days challenge about? Looks like it's something I should be participating in.
Okay, we had a 30 days challenge on social media. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, those visibility challenges that push you to post consistently for like 30 days. So we had that
Right.
challenge. I think it should be like 2 months ago, or yeah, 2 months ago,
Mm-hmm.
thereabouts. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Good
Yeah.
evening,
Thank you for
everybody.
joining us today.
Yeah, happy to be here as always. Can you guys hear me though? Looks like I'm not too sure of my internet connection here. Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right. So, uh, so here's the thing. How do we dive into this topic? Like, do you think it should be a Q and A? I just want to walk with like whatever you guys have planned.
Okay. Well, I think
Hmm.
we could go around this route, right? Um, you could give us a couple of tips, and let's say for the next 20, 30 minutes, and then for the remaining
Hmm.
30 minutes, we could open it to Q&A.
Right. Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right. Hi everybody. My name is Jude Agbola. I've been here a few times, maybe three times now, right? And we've talked about different topics, from open source to I can't remember the other topics we talked about, but it's always been nice coming back to talk to you guys. Um, so as I said, my name is Jude Agbola. I'm a software engineer at Integration.app, and I'm a full stack software engineer. So I always try to say that I may be biased because I know that there may be designers amongst us. So forgive me if I talk too much about like engineering stuff, but everything we're going to be talking about should probably apply to most people, regardless if you're into like engineering or design, right? So the topic says how to show your work and build confidence, right? So I think this is very essential, very, very essential topic that you must learn, especially if you're starting out in your career, that people are employing you not because they're trying to increase the number of employees that they have, right? They're trying to get you on because of the value that you would potentially provide for them, right? So before that happens, you have to show it, right? And one way that you could do that these days is LinkedIn, a social profile, right? So I've seen people that are pretty early in their career and they're not taking LinkedIn seriously or anything that sort of like exposes them to the general public. Like they shy away from those things, which is not good enough because how do you get visibility, right? So think of yourself as marketing yourself. That's like the basic way to look at it, right? You are basically marketing yourself. Anytime you go on LinkedIn and you write something that sort of helps somebody, you are marketing yourself. And it's a very essential skill to have. Like when you're starting out your career, you need to show that you know what you're doing, right? So, for example, like this challenge that Isabella was talking about is something that I've seen a lot of people do as well, where they just like, try to add value to other people by writing something, right? If there's something that you feel like you know more about, right? write those things down in an article. You could make a video about it, right? And then you could post it on the internet, right? If I as like an engineering leader that's trying to hire people, and I look around and I see like all of this list of engineers that we could potentially hire, someone that is able to talk about what they do, right, would be the a better hire than somebody that just works in the dark. Like they don't want to talk about what they're doing. They don't want to like, teach other people or sort of like impact any sort of knowledge, right? So that skill is super important, super important. And back in 2021, before the tech space got a little messy, um, I used to get a lot of like messages from recruiters because I used to do more posting back then, um, where like they would send me messages about, oh yeah, there's this opportunity at this company and stuff like that. You would attract more stuff like that if you show that you are a thought leader in this industry, like in the whatever industry that you're in, be it design or something. So for example, let me give a basic example. So you're learning, for example, you are a software engineer, you're learning like state machines, for example, and then you know it's maybe you find the topic interesting and then you build something with it. Just go ahead and share it because it's going to be very, very helpful to you at some point. Like you wouldn't know that post that you're going to make that would attract a lot of people to you, right? A lot of like potential recruiters and what have you. Like, oh yeah, this person seemed to show like some level of thought leadership in this area, right? Maybe they would be a better person in a team where like we like to collaborate, we like to like share whatever we're building, we like to like give demos and stuff like that. Maybe and most things are like that, right? Where they like consistently build, like do demos of stuff, and then it's just always a plus to have, right? So think of like a small store that makes a lot of really nice pastries, right? A lot of nice pastries and all of that. And they are just like in one corner in your area, but they make really, really nice stuff, right? No denying that. Whatever they're making is like top notch. But nobody knows about them. How are they supposed to like get to the wider audience? Think of that brand that you've probably patronized on Instagram. What if they decided that they were just cool with whatever they were making, like in the small part of Lekki or in the small part of Ikorodu, and then they didn't go on Instagram and like post like, oh yeah, we offer these services and that services, and then you're just scrolling through Instagram one day and you found them and you decide to book them. That's what it does, right? So think of LinkedIn as that platform for you as someone that is trying to show the professional services that they offer, right? So you need to maybe write articles. You need to like show any sort of thought leadership, be it by making videos, like whatever you can do whatsoever. Like you can jump on, like you can do like a live stream with your friends talking about this fancy stuff that you just learned, right? You don't necessarily need to be an expert. You just need to show that you are, super interested in learning, and then it's just a very good plus to have. So I think we should go into questions. And I saw that you dropped a link. Actually, let me just read the chat.
Yes.
Mhm.
So, guys, there is a link on the chat box. So, oh, there's so many AI assistants. My gosh, all of you bring in your AI assistants.
Oh, people
Yeah,
have
so
AI
just
systems.
look out for, yeah, We
Mhm.
have rich tech bros that have AI assistants already. So
Indeed.
yeah. So we have like a Slido link. So you can use that Slido link to drop your questions. But if you have other questions, I think for a more interactive session, right? Those of us that are here on the Google call, right? We can you can just signify if you have a question, a comment, anything at all you want us to talk about when it comes to building your personal brand. And Jude, I think one most important question that a lot of people have regarding building a personal brand. I think number one is consistency, how to stay consistent. And really, what does consistency even mean? I think that's one thing I would even love us to trash today. What does consistency mean? Does it mean posting
Mhm.
2 times every day in the next 30 days or for 365 days? That's
Mhm.
365 posts, right? Or does
Mhm.
consistency mean, you show up once in a month? Why, what exactly should consistency look like?
Yeah, consistency isn't necessarily about like um how close the intervals are, right? It doesn't have to be every day or what have you. It could be like every week, right? You may decide to create like longer content. It could be like a blog post, right? And that may be just once a month, which is fine. And mind you, like a lot of people would be waiting, assuming like you've had a lot of reach, a lot of people now know about the stuff that you write. People would be looking forward to it. That's just how it is. So it doesn't have to be every day, right? For me, I can't post every day, right? So it just has to be some level of frequency that you control. It could be every week and it could be different things. It doesn't have to be like you writing the common like should I call them cringe content that a lot of people that post on LinkedIn like it's I don't know, people make jokes about how people post on LinkedIn, right? It's like the same kind of words. It's like you could you could make yours a little different though. So it doesn't have to be this the way that a particular person posts, right? It could yours could be completely different because you just have to bring your own style to the table so it doesn't feel like you are actually like just copying what everyone else is doing and you need to stand out. That's basically it. So like I said, it could be like blog post showing like a level of thought leadership in a particular area, right? It could be if you're comfortable with like making videos, it could be short videos talking about something, just anything that could just put you out there. Like it doesn't have to be every day. So don't beat yourself if you're not one of those people that could post every day. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah, thank you for that. So, you talked about, posting thought leadership, and
Mhm.
I think maybe we should circle back and clarify a bit on that. As
Yeah.
newbies, right? Because this
Mhm.
current cohorts, I would want to call them newbies in their various fields or
Yeah.
niche, right?
Sometimes I feel like I need to be reminded like the category of people that we have on the call so that I don't just talk about stuff that they know nothing about.
Yeah.
Okay.
So exactly why I said we should come back to this,
Okay.
because we need to
Sorry.
clarify at their
Hmm.
level. Should they be posting thought leadership content?
Okay. Yeah. So
Yeah.
sorry. So I feel like thought leadership isn't necessarily like you are the best when it comes to this topic. It's just a level of taking ownership to be able to like share, right? You could learn something that is pretty new, right? And that thing is not super complicated, right? Let's bring it to the very simple things. Let's say you're doing web development and you're learning HTML, right? It could be like something very simple, right? And of course, you're going to grow over time to like things that are much more complicated. So, yeah, it doesn't have to be, don't think of it as like you need to like write about some complex thing that you know nothing about, right? It's about the little things. It's about the little things. Like when I started writing, like I would write about like new things that I'm learning about, right? So, and these things were not like super complex things. It just means that I have gone a step further to like learn this thing, and you know to a point where like it feels like I know it so much to be able to share something. And I'm going to add this. I know that we're in the era of like AI revolution, right? Don't go like paste some prompts on chat GPT and ask it to generate some blog post for you, because it- it's just okay. Let me tell you a story of like um some young guy that I've been like a mentor to. Um I think he wanted me. I posted about some job opportunity and he was interested in the opportunity. Then instead of him to text me and like, you know, express his interest in the opportunity, he probably used ChatGPT to like generate a message, and it felt like, what is this? It's like it feels like, may I ask for that kind of thing where you be like, dude, this dude is using some LLM to generate the stuff. So yeah, you need to be careful about that too, right? And of course, when you also start to like apply for potential opportunities, like do not like just throw away your ability to write something and just throw everything on LLMs, because in this day and age, it's also pretty easy to detect whatever is written with LLMs, as well as your LinkedIn post or whatever wherever you're posting them. Don't just go generate stuff and then post it on the internet and expect the people that you're trying to reach to be fooled by that. So I'm just gonna add that.
That's a very important add-on because uh, there is this massive takeover and massive reliance, and I would say over reliance on ChatGPT. A lot of people, because we get it on a platter, will just like, oh, AI is so smart. No, no, I can read it and I know that there is no human touch in that at all.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
so
still
I think,
mechanic.
yeah, it feels very, very mechanic, very rigid, and all of that. But it takes someone who has, like, I don't know if I would say sharp eyes, or um I think anyone at all that is in their right mind would actually be able to tell AI content. We're not trying to bash you for using AI, right? But we're
Mhm.
saying
At least you
use
could
it,
put some
and
sort of prompt over it that
exactly,
makes it
yeah,
sound
that helps
more
it
human.
humanize the content.
Yeah,
And crazy thing is, people sell AI prompt engineering these days.
right.
Yeah. So I have this question here. Please, does connecting with high profile personalities on LinkedIn matters too?
Yeah, I was gonna talk about that. Yeah. So okay, let's just step straight into it. Like how aside like posting, like what are the other things that you should be doing, right? Um, yes, connecting with people is, and anytime I see connections, I accept them, right? Um, so sending connections, you should always do that, right? Like, do not feel restricted to sending connections, and it's also fine to reach out to people, right? A few people have reached out to me on LinkedIn over the years, and some of them were pretty close these days, right? You could create like really solid connections from LinkedIn where like you've seen this person, post some really lovely thing that you've been learning from, and then you sort of reach out to them and maybe appreciate them. It could be different things, right? Just to try to like come closer to their world, right? Many things can happen as a result of that. Many things. So, for example, let me tell you a story of a few people that, as a result of them sort of reaching out, um, and hopefully I don't get a lot of DMs because I'm saying this. So, it was this was like a couple of years ago. He just reached out to me, right? Like, hey, how you doing? Like, I saw you were working at, I was working at Gatsby at the time. And he just like reached out saying like, yeah, admiring the work and stuff like that. And yeah, we just chatted, talked a little bit about what he's doing these days and what I'm doing. And we just wrapped it up there, right? And there was an opportunity to for like a full stack engineer on a team, right, that I was managing at the time, and I reached out to him, right, and he still works there today, right? Trust me. So, like, what if he didn't reach out, right? And also, there's some other guy that reached out to me at some point, and he I think he was like, what was it? I think it was a recommendation related stuff. Like, they needed to talk to someone to talk about his skill sets and stuff like that. And then he just gave my number, and then they just called me up and talked about his skill set a little bit, and what level I'm gonna place him and stuff like that. So, I think they just needed someone to sort of speak for him, right? So yeah, so you need a few people to be speaking for you too, right? So, and if you just stay in your cocoon, not like reaching out to anybody, not talking to anybody, not trying to connect with anybody, like, then your chances keeps going down, right? Because this person could present you some opportunity in the future at some point, or like they could recommend you to something at some point. It just like the possibilities is a whole lot, right? Someone that I connected with on LinkedIn, this was December. Yeah, he just reached out to me, like we connected, we chatted for a bit, and he said, yeah, there's this opportunity on his team that they would like me to check it out. And I checked it out and I applied and I went through the interview process and stuff like that. And if I remember correctly, there have been like many instances of that where someone even recommended me at Microsoft at some point. And this is basically we just like chatting off LinkedIn and just talking about very simple things, right? So by all means, like reach out to people. Don't make it super complicated, and do not go write messages in AI and then make it sound super mechanic, right? So just something simple. Hey, I love your work, like to chat, stuff like that. Very, very easy conversations, to be honest. So yeah, by all means, send out connections.
Thank you so much for that. So, speaking about connections, we've probably talked about, how to humanize the content and, you know, ensure that we keep it short and simple. I also think we should talk about, connecting, right? Because a lot of people, when they go on LinkedIn, they feel like, okay, I need to connect with the big guys, right? I need to connect with people who have about you know 34K, 50K, 100K plus followers and all of that, and you know drop about 100 comments in a day. They have this crazy strategy that at the end of the day it's tearing them apart, right? Instead of you to focus on your career, yeah, almost like a social media content manager or something, right? So, what would be your advice for everyone here when it comes to, networking, up and down, right? High level and, also people within your level, within your circle, and all of that.
Yes. So I think that I needed to phrase that properly. Like, it's not, I'm not, when I'm talking about connecting with people, it's not necessarily like people that, I don't know the popular people on LinkedIn, right? And some that are super popular, like they have many thousands of followers. Like, typically, I wouldn't reach out to such people, right? Because it's a lot of people probably reaching out to them, and I don't know. I don't know how to categorize them, but I mean, like, there are people that
Your
you
messages may go
that I
unread.
exactly, like there are people that still have like a few thousands, right? Maybe one five, 2,000, and they're where you want to be, so to say. Those are the people that you should be reaching out to. Like, it's like it don't make it look like you reaching out to, like, for example, which popular musician do we have in Nigeria? Let's say you sending a message to Davido. Like, what are the chances that he's gonna read it? He may want to read it, but there are many thousands of people like sending messages, so it's just impossible to respond. So you should make it like people. There are people that maybe you are a data science person, and then this guy works at a data science company in the US, and that seems like where you want to be. Sure, reach out. Or you're into like product development, and then this guy works at this company doing product development, or like JavaScript guy, or he does React, and then he talks about React a little bit, and then he works at this company, and that seems like where you want to be. Then those are the people you should be reaching out to, not people with like the biggest of followings. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna say to that.
All right.
Hmm.
So thank you for clarifying that. So guys, none of you are dropping questions. Does it mean that we've already figured it out, right?
Yeah, it looks like it's super clear to them.
All right. So let me quickly pop in on Slido and see if we have additional questions. But while I check out for other questions on Slido, I think another thing that we could that is worthy for us to also mention is, how exactly do the entire aim of building a personal brand is not just so you could drop blog articles and, get to comment and all of that. At the end of the day, you want to build a personal brand that, organizations, hiring managers, and, individuals are able to reach out to you and probably offer you a job and all of that. All of these experience you've mentioned to us. So, how then do you exactly position yourself for that kind of success?
Hmm. Yeah. So this is how it works. Like, whenever you um you watch an advert. Think of like watching an advert, like for Coca-Cola, for example, or like anything whatsoever, right? So they they get to put it in your face from time to time, not because they expect that you're gonna just go buy that thing at that point in time. It's just like a programming where like they're basically like programming your mind, right? So that thing is on your mind or in your head somewhere. And then anytime you get an opportunity to maybe buy that thing, you'd probably want to buy it because you've seen it somewhere, right? And then they like sometimes they're not direct about saying go buy the stuff. Like they just show something, like a feeling, like someone drinking a glass of Coca-Cola and then you know dancing or something. Like it could just play out in different ways, right? But the end goal is for them to make more sales, right? So your post doesn't have to be, hey, I work on XYZ, come and hire me and stuff like that. Like it's basically the tiny things, right? It could be that you are trying to like learn TypeScript, for example, for the engineers. Sorry if I'm biased with like engineering stuff. So if you're trying to learn like TypeScript, for example, and then you start off with like, oh, part one of like learning of my journey to learning TypeScript, something like that. And then you talk about what you find fascinating, talk about the different types that exist, talk about how you can achieve this. You could do like a second part and stuff like that. So that doesn't scream come and hire me, but at the end goal is that it makes the employer understand that this person understands TypeScript, right? This person can by themselves, learn something, right? And then use it to build something, right? So you can see that flow. Like it doesn't have to be you saying that, oh, I need a job, or like putting like open to work on your LinkedIn. That thing never works, by the way. So if you have open to work on your LinkedIn, I don't know. But um it's not by just putting it out like you're desperate and stuff like that, because I feel like the desperate people sometimes don't get any attention, right? People just like um comment on that their post like, oh, sorry, I've been looking for a job. Someone posted, oh, I've been looking for a job for the last 3 years. It looks like the market is pretty brutal and stuff like that. And people would say, oh yeah, I'm sorry, you've been looking for a job. And then they'll go ahead to offer the job to someone that is just posting about stuff. So it's not about that's not how you position yourself. You position yourself by showing that you understand, the concepts within your field. If it's design, maybe you understand like how to use shadows properly. Maybe that's basically what the post is about. And then it shows that, yo, this person is sort of like they care about all of these tiny details, right? That makes the design add up to be a great one. So yes, it's not about being direct. It's just about the little things that then creates an impression, right? So you may see like some I know of someone that I follow on LinkedIn, and I think they were in the military at the time, and they were trying to transition. So I think into like DevOps related stuff. So all the posts were about like DevOps stuff, day one of trying to learn this, day two of trying to learn that. And then at the end of the day, like they actually did the transition, right? So versus they posting, oh, um I'm tired of being in the military and I'm trying to switch to DevOps. Any opportunities would be appreciated or something like that. That screams like you're a little bit desperate versus writing about your story, as simple as writing about your story. Oh, this is my background. I picked up DevOps because it's something that I really love. I'm fascinated with like how machines could be spun up, blah blah blah, whatever it is. And then you keep writing about how all the things that you're learning. I mean, that could be a better way to go about positioning yourself than um sorry, I got a call. So that could be a better way to position yourself than actually putting open to work or like talking about how someone needs to give you a job and stuff like that. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's very important. I hope we're all taking notes with the way we are quiet, we're silent. I'm sure that we're paying rapt attention right now. So thank you for pointing that out. Um, yeah, the open to work badge. Maybe you should just you should just
No,
take
no,
it off
no,
and
no. It's just I would say it's how would I put it now? It's from personal experience. I feel like, and from people that I've seen post that, it feels like they just have it there forever, and you
yeah.
just think that because they posted open to work, like something would just magically happen. So I would
Mhm.
say that you could, focus on providing value, right,
Yeah.
rather than just saying that you're open to work, that kind of thing. But of course, both of them can go hand in hand.
Yeah. Yeah, I think when we say both of them can work hand in hand, I think yeah, I would also want to agree with you on that because I think a couple of times I've actually tried to, probably hire off LinkedIn and all of that. One of the things I'm looking at for is what sort of content or what sort of value is this person providing on their LinkedIn? Are they providing anything meaningful, anything valuable? Right? So that's one thing that I'm looking out for. And I'm sure that for many other founders, for many other hiring managers, they are also looking at the quality of stuff you are putting out there. Is it just, um, random stuff or, something really meaningful that actually shows that you understand exactly what you're doing? And because we're talking about knowing exactly what you're doing, I think, when it comes to personal branding, right, Jude,
Hmm.
on LinkedIn, there are just a lot of, a lot of people giving out LinkedIn rules. You should have a professional bio, your you should have like a brand color. That's if
Hmm.
you want to build a personal brand and all of that. People should know you for a particular catchphrase.
Hmm.
Your description should look like XYZ. You should have something in your featured section. You should have a link in your bio and
Hmm.
just a lot of that. What are your thoughts regarding all of this?
Yeah, I think that there's no rule to this, right? The
Yeah.
people that if you go to the example of like the biggest musicians, like they don't necessarily have colors that they use all the time. Neither do they have catchphrases, right? Like they don't say, "Oh, OBO signing out" or something like that. So it doesn't have to be mechanical, right? It just has to be that you add value, right? You add value, like all of those things are additional, right? You can have a logo, you can have a website where you like put all the things that you write on, right? So there are different steps to it. And you don't necessarily have to check all these boxes for you to be providing value, if you get what I mean. So um having a link in your bio, that's not really true because anybody, if you're posting on LinkedIn, someone can send you a message on LinkedIn, right? So if there's a link, the link should probably be to an easy way where they could reach out to you, right? So I think There's no hard and fast route or like a specific set of rules that you have to follow, right? It just has to be that you're providing value. Maybe people have been following all of these rules. That's why sometimes LinkedIn feels like some mechanical place where like people just post and write stuff the same way. Like, I'm super excited to be joining this XYZ thing, and like it just always feels the same. So you don't have to write like that. You don't have to put your stuff on ChatGPT. Like, you just have to make sure that you're providing value. Everything is secondary. Yeah, you could get a logo, nice to have. You could get a website, nice to have, right? But you don't necessarily have to start with those things, to be very honest with you. So yeah, that's what I would say to that one.
Yeah. So I think we've actually mentioned value a lot of times, right? And one thing that you'd agree about value is the fact that it can be relative. So
Mhm.
this simply means that what I could consider would be valuable to my target audience, or you know, as a valuable post on LinkedIn, it might not necessarily come off as valuable to people who would read it or probably want to engage with it. So what would you say is a metric to determine how valuable a content is?
I think I don't. So here's the thing, like whatever. So let me give you a very simple example. For me, I travel a lot, right? And I could decide to to make content about how I pack my bags when I travel. I could decide to make content about exchanging money. I could decide to make content about like, finding the best prices for flights or place to stay. Like, I don't see anything that I would create that would not be valuable, if you get what I mean. Like, every single part of the journey is always valuable. So do not overthink it, right? So maybe what people try to do with content is like they try to look for a niche, right? Where like, this is the people that I'm targeting. For example, as a traveler, I'm not targeting people that are just traveling once in a while for fun. I'm targeting people that are like software engineers, and they work remotely, and they want to be working and traveling the world at the same time, right? So I could narrow it down to that because that feels closer to me, right? So, but that doesn't mean that my content would not be valuable. So, the first place to start is providing value. It could be to a larger audience. And then you could decide to pick a niche. So, that's it. Like, you don't have to be too worried about, oh, like, who am I targeting? Because there's always people that you're targeting. If you're starting out pretty, like, you're just learning HTML, like, let's bring it down. So you're just learning HTML and you're posting about HTML. Someone that is learning HTML as well could learn from it, right? You're already like a senior level engineer, and then you're dealing with all the buzzwords, all the Kubernetes, Docker, you're dealing with LLMs, there's MCP, all of those things. Of course, there's a lot of people that would get value from it, right? So value there means like something that someone just benefits, right? You just benefit by seeing that thing. That's basically value in this context. So, like, it doesn't have to be structured in a specific way. Neither does it have to target a specific audience. I mean, neither do you have to think too much about targeting a specific audience, because at the end of the day, it's going to like the content is going out to people, and it's adding value to some and probably not others. So yeah, just start up doing the stuff, and then as you go on, you could, feel like, oh yeah, I'm a little bit more connected to these people. Then I'm gonna like try to like reduce the I mean try to like set my focus a little bit. So here we're not talking about content creation, right? So maybe if we're talking about content creation, I would have said, oh yeah, you had to look for a specific niche, like all these content creators we talk about. Like, you're not a content creator, except if you want to be one. You're just a professional trying to like add value to other people. That's what it is. So it's not it's not content creation of today, right? So yeah.
Yeah, that's very important to add. You're not a content creator. So it's super important that you keep that in mind, because I think one of the things that actually burden people when it comes to actually building a personal brand is always the idea of, what do I post? Do I really even have anything interesting going on that people would be wowed by, or people would find really interesting? I think these are some of like the internal struggles that tend to hold people back. And I always say that one of the things that would help you build your personal brand, right, is by doing. Because if you don't start working towards building, not even working, actually building the personal brand, like posting, whatever you decide your consistency is, if it's 7 days in a week, 5 days in a week, 3 days in a week, 1 day in a week, and all of that, consistency matters a lot, a whole lot. Jude, are you still here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, okay. I couldn't see you anymore.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
had to.
so yeah. So I just wanted to add that. So before we have like a couple of minutes before we drop off. And the last thing I would want us to really talk about is okay, let's take these questions. When you keep posting on LinkedIn for a long while and still don't get much engagement on the post or even improvements, do you still continue posting?
Yeah, that's a good question. So what came to my mind, sorry if you asked the question, like, uh, have you been have you been generating this stuff with like ChatGPT? Because like people, because I've seen a lot of this, that's why I keep talking about generating stuff with LLMs, right? Like,
Yeah.
people sometimes think that when you just generate some text, someone can just learn something from it, but that's not the case. So maybe that's like the first part. Like, maybe you need to change the way that you're writing the content, right? Focus on like the stuff that you're learning rather than just trying to post something and make it long. I think you would be better off writing something that you're learning, right? Or something that you know a little bit about, than just trying to generate something that you know nothing about, and then it's a bunch of like text that are just words, right? So I think you should start from there. Of course, like, Rome isn't built in a day, right? If you've been doing all the things right, you've been trying, like, Rome wasn't built in a day. Like, you don't necessarily have to focus on like the turnover, right? Like, you don't know who's like reading all these things. You don't know who's going to find that really useful at some point, and through that could lead to some sort of breakthrough for you. So by all means, keep keep posting your stuff, and keep sharing what you're learning, right? Because at the end of the day, like it may not be for now, it may be for later. So you don't have to be like super popular LinkedIn guy that has like thousands of likes on their post. It could just be a few likes. It could be like a few people resonate with what you posted and they find it useful and they drop a like on it. So yeah, that's what I would say. Like, don't focus too much on the numbers, but by all means keep showing up and posting the stuff that you're posting.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. And just to chip in a little bit, maybe you also need to consider exactly why you're on LinkedIn, right? Everybody is on LinkedIn for different reasons. So,
Mhm.
is your major reason for being on LinkedIn? Is it really for the likes? Is it for the comments? What exactly is it? And if you're really looking for the likes and engagements and all of that, then maybe you should stop with this post and pray method, right? Meaning you post and come back in 2 hours hoping to see millions of likes and comments. You also need to engage with other creators and other people within and outside your niche, right?
Yeah, sorry, I don't like the use of the word creators because you're not a creator. Like, I don't know how people define creators these days, but it feels like you need to be some sort of content creator that, I don't know.
No, not
But
not not creator in that sense, because yeah,
hmm
we definitely have like developers,
yeah,
posting thought leadership content on social media and
hmm
LinkedIn and all of that. Yes. So
exactly.
category of everybody, right? Both developers and all of that. Yeah. So
Yeah, totally. So yeah,
yeah.
please don't think of everything that we've been talking about as like, you know, some sort of aggressive posting. You have to post every day. You have to grow your following. You have to start
Yeah.
posting niche content. You have to start appealing to this demography and stuff like that. Like all of those jazz. Like that's not what it's about. So I think there is a part of this that we should probably like round off with, which is like
Okay.
building confidence. Like the first part is like showing your work and stuff, right? And showing what you're capable of doing. The second part is showing confidence, right? So you need to be confident in whatever that you're doing. Like you can't get the opportunity to like talk about yourself and then you just like roast that opportunity because I've seen a lot of people that are skilled but they they're not confident to talk about what they do or not confident to even introduce themselves or like sort of voice out their resume basically. So it's super important, like would be very helpful to you in your career that you build some confidence, some self-esteem. Like it doesn't mean that you know everything, right? It doesn't mean that you know it all. Right now, I still struggle with imposter syndrome. And how long have I been coding for? That's probably like 8, 9 years. It's been a long time, right? But there'll be things that you don't know about. Like you've never used them. Is this language that people are talking about? You don't use it, right? You don't know much about it. You just, aside like just know the name and stuff. So you don't have to know everything. There will be things that are very completely alien to you, which is fine. You just have to like focus on the things that you've decided to focus on, right? It doesn't mean that you would see that the trend is changing and you're not going to switch, not that kind of stuff, but focus on things like this at my core skill set and let those be your focus and sort of build confidence in that. And confidence comes as a result of like, you know, having a very good understanding of all these things, right? So if you're making a post and you don't know about it and you're just copying stuff and just posting it, at the end of the day, like, oh, let's jump on a call and talk about, your skill sets and stuff. You may roast that opportunity because you can't even defend or what you claim to know. So yeah, so building confidence, it ties to how well you have mastered whatever it is that you're focusing on. So be it design, be it engineering, or like a specific area, maybe front end, maybe back end, and all of that. So try to specialize, try to be an expert. So I'm using try to be, right? It doesn't mean that you're going to be an expert today or tomorrow, but try to be an expert. That will boost your confidence a lot, right? So, and remember that you can't know everything, which is completely fine. So that's what I'm going to wrap up with.
All right, thank you so much for that. We have about four questions, and um, I'm going to take about two of them since they are quite similar, right? So the first one would be, as a newbie, some recruiters don't understand some things you're learning. How exactly can you post to attract them?
They don't
And
understand the things that you're learning. Uh, I'm not sure I get the question. Like, how wouldn't they, if you are learning, if whatever you're learning is related to JavaScript and a non-technical recruiter just sees, I mean, let's say technical recruiter, in fact, that doesn't even know JavaScript that much, sees that whatever you're writing about is related to JavaScript. Like, they don't need to know the details, but they know that you're writing about JavaScript. So, except the person wants to rephrase the question, but I don't think that the recruiter has to completely understand the post. It could just
yeah,
be some concept, but they know that you're writing about, if it's like photography, for example, and you're writing about like hue, saturation, and all of those things, and it's photography related, the recruiter doesn't need to understand the concept. So you don't necessarily need to write to a recruiters, rather you need to write to add value, right? So that's the direction, not necessarily writing for recruiters, I would say.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. And
If,
then
if I,
how
if I didn't answer that well, like you can always like rephrase it, but that's what I
I,
think.
I think I think that was actually the question.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think that was
Okay.
the question, and that was yeah. And then we have, how do you know if your post is getting to the right audience, or how do you make the right people let recruiters come across your page? Like recruiters come across your page.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's a good
So it's kind of
question.
like a two-sided question.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say how. So there's like, I don't think the other side of the question isn't really what we're talking about. So I don't think I have a lot to say regarding that one because there may be some extra thing that you need to like turn on, like set up on your LinkedIn to get more visibilities from recruiters. I think a quick Google search should help with that. Like typical LinkedIn settings that could make you show up more in front of recruiters. That's more niche, right? So, but the first part of the question, can you take the first part again?
Okay. How do you know if your post is getting to the right audience?
Okay, how do you know if your post is getting to the right audience? Um, that's a good question. How? So there are different ways. Um, Sometimes it doesn't. So here's the thing, right? Like sometimes people enjoy reading or watching your content, but they wouldn't engage. They wouldn't
Yeah,
engage. So
true.
like you wouldn't completely write your content off as like, yeah, it's just there for nothing. Like nobody needs it, right? So you should do it more for the value, not necessarily for it getting to the right audience, right? At the end of the day, like you would see like, there would be likes and stuff like that, which is one of the metrics. But rather than uh, focusing on that, you should focus on like, knowledge sharing and, you know, learning in the open, as some people call it, where like you're showing that you're learning this thing, and then of course at the end of the post, it would mean that you have some knowledge about that thing, right? You are not necessarily writing it for it to get to the right audience, right?
Yeah.
It would serve as some reference point for you at some point. That's the reason that you're writing it, right? So if you say, oh yeah, this thing I've forgotten, like maybe like some months, years later, you want to like understand this thing again, you can always go to them, right? Or somebody needs help on this particular topic, you could send it to them, right? You could, people could be searching on the internet and then they find your content on what you wrote about this particular thing, about this particular topic, or how to related post, how to fix this when this is happening, right? So, you know, it may not come immediately, right? But it's a resource that would then become useful. Like, where do you think that AI is answering all your questions from? Is it not based on everything that we have all posted on the internet? So that's where like LLM is generating stuff from. All the answers to like, fix this code for me. Like, do you think it just knows the code? Like, it's based on all the resources that it gets. So at the end of the day, you are contributing to like public good, and you are improving your chances of showing that you know this topic, or you are an expert in this subject matter. So that's how I think you should approach it.
All right, thank you so much. We're way past, way past time, and I know you want to go, but I want to combine these two questions into one piece because you're literally asking about related stuff. So the first one is about, if it's acceptable to post your learning process while building a personal brand, and whether every post you make on LinkedIn, if it must be professional.
Mhm.
And because we're talking about posting, the other question is, should AI generated images accompany your social media, your LinkedIn posts?
Mhm. Okay.
Yeah.
The second one is yes, of course, you should strive to use like illustrations to sort of pass across your message. So that's cool, right? And thank God for AI that it could generate something with just a prompt. So of course, go for it. Then the first one says like, should you share your learning process? Of course, like the term for that is learning in the open, right? Like you are in the open trying to learn this thing, and as a result, someone else is learning because you are sharing stuff about how you're learning this particular thing, right? If you structure it properly, of course, someone is also going to learn from it. So yes, by all means, like push your learning process. If you want to pick up this particular thing today, you want to pick up this topic, right? It's nice to do like topic by topic because like if it's a particular maybe programming language, what have you, it could be like really big to cover. But if it's like specific topics, it could land in search results. Like someone can just pick it up because it's like they just think, oh yeah, let me just read this thing and I've read stuff like that personally myself where someone is just figuring out how to use a particular thing, right? Or how this particular thing works. Like they've never tried it out before, but they just want to see how it works. And then the challenges that they faced and a live demo of this thing now working and stuff like that. Of course, it's always beneficial. So regardless of the way that your style of writing is, like just go ahead and share it.
All right, thank you so much, Jude. We've really elapsed our allocated time, right? You know, it's
Yeah.
always fun. It's always fun getting to chat with you and listen to
Mhm.
you while you speak. So you've answered majority of all our questions, all of the questions that we had today, and I'm sure it's been a wonderful learning session for our mentees. I know they're excited to go back home and implement, right? So I'm sure as they implement, they're going to come back to tell us the progress so far. So yeah, just know that today you just raised some some LinkedIn personal brand builders. So thank you so much for your time, and we hope to see you once again really soon.
Yeah, for
Thank
sure.
you. Yeah.
Yeah, it's I'm really happy to be here and it's always good to talk to you guys. Okay, maybe I'm probably talking to a different set of guys, so but
Yes, yeah.
I'm always happy to come talk to you guys. I wasn't actually like prepared to have to talk to you guys tonight, but uh, you know, Femi just reached out to me, reminding me. I'm like, whoa, I completely forgot.
I thought that
And
was
then,
going to be our little secret.
no, actually, my time zone is a little different, and
Yeah.
I sort of like have a night routine, and um, I'm like, oh wow, I have to like be seated and prepare
Mhm.
for this, and yeah, it was really nice talking to you guys.
Yeah, it was nice listening to you. So let's leave you to your night routine.
Yeah, thank you
All
so
right.
much.
Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for coming.
Yeah,
Bye.
all right, have a wonderful night, y'all.
You too.